Welcome to the March 2024 session of the Spencer webinar series. It is Women's History Month, so happy WHM. If you're not familiar with Spencer, we are a nonprofit organization that supports future leaders of this industry. So that's college students that are pursuing careers within risk management, insurance, and actuarial science. We support students and universities through our various programs such as scholarships. We have several grant programs that support experiential learning opportunities, and we also host an annual International Risk Management Challenge. So with that, we do have two amazing guest speakers with us here today. We have Jo Supaya, Partner, Head of Forensic Accounting Services at Sedgwick, UK. Yes, guys, she is dialing in all the way from UK to be here with us today. And we have Shannon Smith, Director of IT Applications at Sedgwick in USA. So thank you so much for being here today. And with that, Shannon, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. So before we kind of get started, I would like to know kind of what representation we have. So if y'all don't mind coming off mute, or you can hit in the chat, what school do we represent here? University, college, whatever you are. I'd like to hear some, what do we have out there?
East Carolina University.
Okay. Memphis rival.
University of North Texas.
University of Portland.
See Fayetteville State University in here. Okay. Awesome.
There's more
Texas. A lot of different Texases, I see.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself, guys. If you're comfortable doing so, feel free to unmute yourself and shout out your schools.
We just like to keep this very
University of North Texas.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the chat, I see St. Joseph's, I see Georgia State. Whoop, whoop. Sedgwick Talent Acquisition is here. Hi. University of North Texas, New Mexico State University, University of Colorado, Denver, Fayetteville State. Any other schools that we missed?
I'm representing University of Memphis. Go Tigers. But that's it's been a minute.
I love the team spirit. Yes.
All right. So thanks so much. We're really excited to be here. Let me share my screen. We will get started. We have a little slideshow kind of to help us guide through it. All right, so let's get started, shall we? So we're here to talk about exploring the careers in the insurance industry. So a little bit about the speakers today. We have Jo and myself. There's our LinkedIn profiles. We'll share the presentation. We'll at least share our links after. If you'd like to connect with us, I'm somewhat active on LinkedIn. I enjoy interaction with a lot of people. Enjoy learning about a lot of things on LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn, I highly suggest you do, especially if you're in college. That's a great way to connect with people and look for jobs. So with that, I'm just going to hand it over to Jo, our first speaker, and we'll go from there. Jo.
Okay, hello everybody and good morning. It's really exciting to be sort of talking to everybody today. So a bit of background with Shannon and I, we both we co-chair the Early Careers Group. So within Sedgwick, we have something called the Early Careers Group. And that group, we focus on attracting, growing, retaining talent. So it's all about bringing up the talent within Sedgwick. So we spend a lot of time doing power hour talks. What that means is it's just talks on raising your profile, networking, giving some support to some of the those who have just joined us within Sedgwick. So we're very passionate about growing and retaining young talent. So that's where our background is. And we thought we'll start off by sharing a little bit about our career journey and how that evolved over the years. I think the way I have set up mine is more about just more than talking about me about talking about what I focused on in terms of my career and my journey, and just going through the different sort of years and how I sort of got to where I am. Again, the reason I'm sharing that is for you to sort of, when you get into that time to sort of complete your degrees, and when you're looking for jobs, and when you're trying to sort of get into the world of working, it's just some of these tips that you can think about, some of the things that you can sort of do in sort of that as you progress throughout your career. So my background is I'm a qualified accountant. So I qualified as an accountant. I also did a master's in accounting and finance. So about 23 years ago, that's a long time in insurance industry. The way I got in, I mean, a lot of people would think, what can you do in insurance industry? What sort of degree should we be doing? How do we get into this? And trust me, when I got in by accident. I had no clue. I had no clue what to do in terms of getting into the insurance industry. So as I was finishing off my master's, I was just looking for a part-time job. Saw some advert about doing some accounting in a forensic accounting practice, just doing some data entry, and I just applied. And that's how I got into insurance. So 23 years on, and I'm still here. So that's how exciting this industry is. And there's a place for every one of us. So I think we just wanted to talk through the exciting opportunities you will have in the insurance industry. So throughout my 23 years, I've been sort of in 3 different places. So Sedgwick, where I currently work, is my 3rd place. So over the 23 years, but always in insurance. And just sharing what I did for the first 5 years, then 5 to 10 years, and 10 to 20 years, and so on, in terms of how I got recognized, how I moved, how I progressed. So obviously the first 5 years, it's just all about trying to get into the industry, just putting your head down, you're trying to do hard work, and that's how you're getting recognized. So it's all about trying to prove yourself, because you're just very enthusiastic, you're trying to get into your career, show what you've got, and you're just, working really hard. And that's how I sort of started off. It's all about just doing hard work and learning. So I was very eager to learn. So always wanting to sort of understand and explore new things and understand why. I asked a lot of questions. And trust me, this is the best time to ask questions. No one's going to say, no one's going to judge you, or no one's going to think anything. They're going to be like, people are happy to teach. So these first few years, I spent my time doing hard work, learning, asking questions, and thinking about what next, trying to really prove myself. And the other part that I just focused on was networking. So it's all about trying to get to know your peers, getting to know who else is within the organization at your level, what else is happening outside your department. So if I was sort of doing accounting, what other divisions are there? What else are they doing? What are these opportunities that's available? Is there any young networking groups, young talent? So like our early careers group, is there any other sort of community groups that I could join? And that's exactly what I was doing that first 5 years. It's all about, I think, raising your profile. So the reason I know we're talking, you're still in university, but as you enter into the corporate world, these are some of the sort of the tips that I could give in terms of how you can think of spending that first 5 years and the next few years and so on. So the first few years of my career, I spent a lot of time about trying to raise my profile, trying to learn, connect, do the hard work. And raising the profile internally, I mean, as a recognition at the end of that 5 years, or just as I got into the 5 years, I was sort of nominated as a rising star within the organization. So I got the award for Rising Star. So again, it was just little things like that that helped me sort of get to where I was in that first 5 years. The next 5 to 10 years, I think I just moved into expanding the network. So it's not just focusing about internal networking, now thinking about external. Who are your clients? who are you servicing? What is it? Who are the strong what's the strong network that you should be making within the industry, with your clients, with your peers, with the senior management? How do you now raise your profile and network, not only internally, but also externally? So it's now you're expanding into getting your profile known across, so not within the organization, but also outside. At that point, you start thinking about career progression. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, I've done this 5 years, I've learned, now what next? So I'm talking about promotions. How do I get to the next level? What do I do? What is it that I should be achieving to be promoted? So having those conversations is where sort of your next few years of your career is spent, in terms of thinking about promotion, asking people to support you. So it's your line manager, your peers, everybody to support you to get to that next level. And I continued sort of working hard, putting that into the performance review conversations, so talking with the managers and asking the questions, how can I get to the next level? What is it that I need to deliver? So having that structured talk. And you would have these probably within the university sort of life as well, to some extent. You might be having these conversations with your lecturers as well, in terms of targets set, what next, and so on. But in the corporate world, you're thinking about promotion. So just again, I think what got me to that next level in terms of starting off as a graduate, moving into senior consultant, so from AVP to VP to SVP, that's what happened by sort of the first 10 years of my career. So getting by the 10th year, I was kind of in the SVP level. Again, at that point, I think it was more doing that extra bit, going that extra mile. So I started doing things like writing articles about subject matter. So just what I did in terms of what work I do. So did a couple of articles. I started doing market presentations. Again, that kind of gave you sort of that leeway to really be recognized and then get promoted. Another part that really helped me is the mentoring. So being mentored, that's like an absolutely important part of my career. I was lucky enough to find some really good mentors. I mean, I didn't go through a formal mentoring program, but I did come across some very senior people in the organization who were able to support and mentor and be that guide, help me to sort of give me some points in terms of tips, in terms of introducing me to the right people. So again, that was another part that really helped sort of progress into that career. Then comes the 10 to 20 years. That's where, you come into a position where you're in middle management, moving to senior management. So from being a part of the team and delivering work, I then progressed into becoming a people leader. So becoming a manager. So my team, now I have about 22 people within my team reporting. So it's all about now your role is changing in terms of delivering results, looking at you're accountable for financial results of a whole division. You're supporting the growth of your people, empowering talent, growing people within your team, and also reporting back into the senior leadership team. So this is where you're engaging with the senior management and you're engaging and delivering. So at this level, you are also mentoring others. And that's what I sort of do. Not get involved in sort of mentoring people, but informally. So again, you have my LinkedIn details. If you have questions, if you're not sure what you're doing in terms of your degree and how that could align into what we do in terms of insurance industry, and whether there's a place for you, which we will cover in a few minutes, we can always reach out to me. So just thought I'll share a bit of me and my career progression and some of the tips to kind of help you to think about when you get into that career, sort of into the corporate world, what you should be thinking of. And Shannon's going to share a bit of his background as well. So over to Shannon now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Is it okay to ask for questions? I'm thinking maybe.
Oh, of course, please. Sorry, by the way, this is not formal. So please talk to us, because sometimes if you don't talk to us, I feel like we're just being bored. So we're boring you. So please talk to me. Ask the questions.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great time to stop and pause for questions. The easiest way for you guys to do that is just to unmute yourselves. If you can turn on your cameras, that's even better, so we can see you as you're asking the question. If you're not quite comfortable doing that, I totally get it. We do have the raise hand feature in Zoom, so you can click on raise hand feature, and then that way your square will jump up to the top and we can see if you have any questions. So any questions so far for Joe? No? Well, I have a question for Joe. You mentioned that within the 1 to 5 year point within your career, you received a Rising Star Award, and receiving that award just helped you, get to that next level. So what are your suggestions on that? So if we have some young professionals in the room with us today and they too want to receive a Rising Star Award, like how can they go about starting that process?
I think it's the first thing is for you to get recognized. So within that organization, you just need to stand out and try to see what is it that you're doing differently to others. A lot of us tend to go to work and we do what's required, and then we say, okay, we're done, and we just go back. We don't think, okay, what next? And I think what I did was more about volunteering, getting involved. At that level, yes, I was totally scared. I had no confidence. I didn't know I could go and do any. I mean, to date, I'm terrible at presenting, but I'm happy with this group because I love talking to people about empowering people. So that's good. And also I'm hiding behind a screen. But at that time, the first 5 years, I was so scared. But the only way I did was just go and volunteer and support people who are, if people are present, my managers or senior were presenting to the market or they were working on a proposal, I'd always put my hand up and I'd say, can I help you in some way? So can I help you draft? Can I do the research for you? Can I get some background info for you? So it's more about, if you're going, just think about, just not within the box, not within, just think out, what next, what more can I give? And I think I didn't do it with the intention of getting any awards, but it just so ended up that they then recognized and said, oh, each year the company would put forward for different awards, and for the Rising Star Award, they just put me through into, because I started helping on high profile claims. Again, I kept putting my hand up to support. So yeah. So just think outside the box and yeah, be there to volunteer, help, and learn. Yeah.
I like that. That's fantastic advice. Always raise your hand, right? Do the work that nobody else wants to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions for Joe out there? I'll check the chat box too. All right, no questions. Over to you, Shannon.
All right. Great. Thanks, Joe, for sharing. It's a great story. I never got a Rising Star Award, so I'm not. Well, we'll try to do better next time. So, this is kind of a little bit about me and my career journey. Mine's a little different, I guess, in the sense of when I graduated college or close to college, I applied for jobs, and I graduated with an engineering degree. So I was really into the software side of that's what I want to do. I want to be a programmer. That was my dream. I wanted to make video games, but yeah, here we are, right? And so, I applied for jobs and I got an offer from Sedgwick. I knew nothing about Sedgwick. I knew nothing, they told me they called themselves then, or he called themselves then, a third-party administrator. And that's about all I got from the headhunter. And so I went to the interview, and one of the biggest things that I gravitated towards was the people interviewing me were not really too focused on my skills I had. They were really focused on the kind of person I was. And that really impacted me from from that, that's literally my first interaction with this company called Sedgwick, was they seem to care about more about who I am versus what I can do. And that was a huge impact. So obviously I accepted the job, and look at me now 13 years later. So this is 12 going on 13. This is my first and only job that I've had since out of college. And I say job, obviously this is a career. This is what we're talking about. This is way more than a job to me because of people. And that's what this story I'm going to give you is all about, people that has been around me. So my first journey, right? The first intro, and it's kind of what Joe was talking about, the hard work. I knew nothing about claims. So we start off understanding the foundational, understanding what claims are. When you get into the insurance risk claims world, there's gonna be 200 abbreviations, and they are confusing. And so that is something else we picked up, right? As we were working through it, I picked up all this terminology and understanding from just working on different projects, a lot of bugs. That's what my programming team did at that time. But the real big thing that I want to kind of share, and this is my hope for you as you go in your career, is my first boss was much more than a boss to me. That's, you're going to hear mentorship too. He was really invested in me. He was really trying to get more out of me by asking me the right questions, challenging me with things, talking to me about life. It wasn't about always about work. Talking about life was important to me. So it was, someone, and he was a champion for me. Like, he was the guy that got me where I am today. He's one of the people. He always put my name out there, kind of like what Joe was talking about. Like, I was working hard. This guy took it upon himself to share about me. So what kind of want to talk about is, it's important to have a mentor. Hopefully you can get one early when you get your first job. It could be your boss. It could be a coworker. It could be someone outside. It could be, someone that's way up the food chain, corporate ladder wise. That is, to me, very, very important, and something you need to try to get as soon as you get your job. And then shortly, I worked for about 4 years in that department, and then there was Sedgwick went through a line of business split. So we segregated our company into silos to work with our business more closely and let our IT department be more focused. With that, I lost my mentor. I got moved to a whole entire different department. I was basically, thrown into something I never even understood. I've been there 4 years. I worked on something that you're going to hear about, kind of our businesses, but I worked in casualty, which is loss. I worked in that department. Then I got moved to the disability side, and that is disability management. It's totally different. At the end of the day, it's claims, and disability is short-term, baby leave, things like that. The casualty world was losses, car accidents, loss of time, injuries at work. So I quickly had to learn something that is core to Sedgwick: adapting to change. And that is going to be important in any career that you pursue. Is change is going to happen so fast. In the technical side, it happens very, very frequently. Generative AI, chat GPT, et cetera. But even the insurance risk claims world changes all the time. New rules, new ways of doing things, new clients. We have to be accepting change. You can't be resistant to change, or there will be a problem, right? And sometimes that is, you are the problem because you're resistant. So what I would say also is, know that as you're going through your career, you have to adapt to change. Change is scary. Change is exciting. It's literally kind of two sides of a coin, but something we have to do. So that was kind of my early career. And then through hard work, people raising my name out there, and some, I guess natural ability, I was kind of recruited to be a people leader. And that is what got me from doing the programming to actually leading people. And I was kind of sought out, but that came with new challenges. And I hope one day that you get, and think about leadership is not necessarily your boss. You're not necessarily someone that's over, this person. You're responsible to give them a raise or fire them. Like, leadership comes out of different ways. We can naturally guide people and help people and become a leader, and people start following you, right? And they listen to you, and that's important. it's important to have people that will listen to you and you can also listen to it. And so, but I did go into a true boss, right? But what was interesting with my career path was I was then actually a boss of some of my peers that I used to have. And that became a whole entire new challenge, right? New mindset, like they were my friends and I was their boss. And that is one of those things that's kind of hard. But through adapting to change and through talking with people and people understanding me, that really jived well. I knew these people already, and it was a real nice process and flow because I got with people that I knew. And then, I had to think about differently of how I thought about things. I had to change my mindset to not only think about programming, but think about how I can help other people be better at what they do each and every day. Right? Try to inspire them with hard work and dedication. I would be there with them. Like in IT, we work a lot of hours. I've been on the phone for 28 hours before in a row. And, but that's a story for the other day. So where I am today, I'm responsible. So I went from entry level out of college, right, to transition into a small leader. And now I'm over 11 different development teams across our back into that casualty line of business. My big thing is I like to support and help, and I care a lot about people, about what we do at Sedgwick, which we'll talk about a little bit in just a little bit, and the people. Like I care so much about the people around me. It's probably a little too much, maybe a little overbearing sometimes, but it's important when we have a career, and this is what I hope for you, and this is something I hope you seek after. Don't always chase the money. Chase the place that you see the values they have are the same values you have. And the money should hopefully come, right? And so I do, basically empower you, encourage you to say, look for a place that has core values that are core to you as well, or at least as close as possible. It's so important. It would help you. And that's one of the reasons I've stayed for 13 years. It's so important to me because it's who I am. And Sedgwick has the same mentality of caring, and you're going to learn about that as well. So my conclusion is, I wouldn't be where I am today without people that impacted my career through coaching me, teaching me, supporting me, helping me, and letting me, cry on their shoulder and work together. And I hope for you that this was somewhat, you like to hear my path. It was an interesting one, but also I've been with the company for 13 years and never had a reason to ever leave. And of course, with organic growth through me, I've seen it for other people. And so I hope you're able to, get mentored and then pay it forward. And that's what I would kind of close with on my journey. So thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions for the IT guy?
Yeah, so I do see a question and a long question in the chat from Sebastian. Sebastian, are you comfortable enough to unmute yourself and ask the question? Are you in a space where you can do that?
I think he says that he doesn't have the camera or microphone, so perhaps just to read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sebastian says this question is for both speakers. For students that are looking to enter the industry after having worked in IT and manufacturing, is there a place for a more seasoned working student? I am presently finishing my MBA. Is there a place in insurance? I think he's saying, is there a place in insurance for me as he's wrapping up his MBA? Would you have recommendations on how best to network in the industry? So what are your thoughts on that, Joe and Chad?
So, IT, obviously I get excited about the two letters there. We at Sedgwick, and this goes for a lot of in our insurance, in our space, right? Like these companies like ours are built on a lot of technical prowess. We, for example, at Sedgwick have over 2,000 colleagues in IT department, right? And that's a large scale, but Sedgwick builds everything in-house. We are very much trying to, and that's why we are able to stay top of our game, is we can adapt quickly because we don't buy out of the box sort of things. We build on them. So from the IT perspective, that's really, is there a place for you? Absolutely. Seasoned professional? Absolutely. At Sedgwick and in the career field in general. Manufacturing, I would imagine we have something in there, as we're gonna kind of talk about from our perspective. We have a lot of kind of departments and things that Sedgwick does as a company. And again, like around that caring focus, right? So that's kind of what I would say. And with networking, honestly, this kind of place, the LinkedIn, there's different conferences out there. RIMS is a big conference, right? That's the kind of place that you can network with individuals. And then, just start looking for jobs. Like, your background will open you up for a lot of opportunities, especially Sedgwick and other companies.
There's another question in the chat box from Jose. So Jose, I will give you the opportunity. Are you comfortable enough to unmute yourself and ask your question or turn
Yeah,
camera? Yeah, please go for it.
yeah. So yeah, no, I was like talking to my professor about it, and I was just asking, like, I'm not graduating with like a business or like accounting degree. Like, I'm graduating with like a social work degree. And I was just wondering, like, how like often do people get hired that don't have necessarily like the business like degree in like the insurance world?
So at Sedgwick, we hire a lot of different individuals with all kinds of backgrounds.
Mm.
And it's one of those things that it's kind of, if you graduate towards Sedgwick, for example, right? You look at the company, you're like, I love this company, which I would agree. And I really want to get in. Well, then just start applying for jobs, right? The requirements are out there. Like, for example, they're, like I said, organic growth. You might have to start at the bottom, but this company is all about organic growth, and a lot of companies are, right? It's better to have someone go through the ranks than hiring from the outside. We all would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like, say you wanted to be a claims examiner, right? That's somebody that gets licensed to do different things like workman's comp and disability. And so, like, you would start there, right? And you would just kind of work yourself up, and you would apply for that job. Sedgwick would teach you, pay you to invest in you, right? And then you would learn as you go through the process of claims management. And then it's literally open door, right? Like, we're always looking for talent. If you're someone that's got the drive,
Mhm.
right, you pretty much some of those, like, you have to look at the job descriptions, right? But I would imagine, say, if you want to apply for Sedgwick jobs, you're gonna find plenty that you qualify for.
Yeah.
Right? It's really, again, about the person. It's not exactly always about the skill set.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, because it's like every requirement's always like qualifications like business / accounting or whatever. And it's like, like I do want to get into that field, but just not having that degree, obviously sometimes it's kind of like, oh, maybe I have to start.
Sometimes some places will look, even if you apply for a job, right? You almost qualify for it, I would still do it, right? It's all I can say, or they might not say anything, but that would be.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I completely agree. I think that's fantastic advice. Definitely just apply, right? For the Jose, when you see those opportunities, just apply. And I think there are different ways that you could dress up your resume as well. So even if your degree, is not clearly showing business, finance, economics, risk management, whatever it is, there are other things that you can do in your resume to let the recruiter know that you're interested in this industry, right? So there are student associations that you could join, right? Like your local risk management and insurance club, or if you're participating risk management and insurance seminars, or let's say you're going to a couple conferences and things like that, you can list that on your resume too, right? And these things will indicate to the recruiter that you are interested in this industry. But that's fantastic advice, and to Shannon's point, there is a space here for you in this industry. So I hope you join us. Priyansa, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Please go.
Priyanka.
Priyanka.
Yeah.
Go.
I just wanted to comment on that too. I don't remember who just asked that question, but I felt like I'm in a similar like situation kinda, and I was like, maybe I could like offer some like like insight of my experience because I'm a recent grad. I'm not a college student. So I graduated May of 2023. But I also had like a like psychology, like English-based background, not really business. That was my major, and I went into a development program where they kind of like teach you like from the basics what is insurance, and they like literally help you out no matter what background. So I would say like maybe looking for opportunities that kind of like focus on like development for recent grads would help too, because that's what helped me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic advice.
Good advice. And
Yeah,
that's a resume booster, right? And it's always the good stuff.
right. And even if you look at our guest speakers, here with us today, like they didn't have a risk management and insurance degree, right? Or an actuarial science degree. Shannon's got an engineering background. So, and look at him now, like 13 years later, he's now, leading certain sections, right, of the entire organization, which is amazing. So fantastic. And I think Joe rejoined us. Welcome.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I tried to put a connection cable and it cut me out because I was already on Wi-Fi. Blame the IT person. So not me.
Blame Shannon.
Get it set, the music, and I'll come and help you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
All right,
awesome.
well, let's,
How
you can
about-
maybe move.
Yeah, we have about 15 minutes left of the session, so go for it.
And we're gonna transition.
I think we'll have to whiz through on some because we want to spend more time on the career journey sort of opportunities that's there within Sedgwick. So we can whiz through the next couple of slides. So this is just showing the locations worldwide. So where we are based, the main hub being the US, and then we do have cover Asia, UK, Europe, and France and New Zealand. So we are sort of globally sort of very present. So 22,000 plus employees across. I think what we just wanted to just a couple of points to touch on this is really we are not very much about working within our sort of regions. If there is a surge scenario or a catastrophe where there is support required, we work across. So for example, when you have during the hurricane season, there's a lot of claims that come out of the US, and we have sort of gone to US to support and work. So Sedgwick gives that opportunity to support and work. So similarly, Australia, when they have the bushfires, we send people there to work. So we work across, and we have that opportunity to move people around and give people the opportunity to have sort of secondments and work in other offices, get more experience. Again, Sedgwick offers that. So just wanted to talk about that. Yeah. Shannon, so you can sort of perhaps go into the GAP program.
Yeah. We'll touch on this real quick. So we as in Sedgwick, and especially in my department and other departments, we do something called GAP. So it's a graduate assistant program, right? And what it is a structured program that for 3 years, we are hooking you up with your boss, right? Your manager, and you're having these very intricate touch points. Every half a year, you're talking about your performance, how you're doing. You know how you're supposed, where you're supposed to be, right? You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, it keeps growing, right? That's what you hope. You hope your career always has, there's light, but it's always a tunnel, right? There's always something else to grab for. But we try to slowly get you there, but quickly as possible, catch you up to speed. And so this is what a lot of companies, and especially in this field, will do, is because it is it's a challenging business. It is, it's different. It's not exactly something that is everyday sort of thing to a lot of us. You might have been lucky and you never had to put in any kind of claim, right? Maybe you just, good for you, right? But if you ever had a car accident, it's sometimes a challenge. And so, we do this to try to empower the college kids, right? We give you a path. We say, hey, and it's like one of those things where we say, hey, you'll get a promotion here and here, right? It's a scheduled process or a program that we feel is very important because it drives caring. It is literally what it's about. Caring about you, caring about your career, caring about your growth. That is caring. and Sedgwick cares a lot. That's literally right here, this slide. Can't see my mouse, but this is our core values at Sedgwick. And so we look to invest in you on day one, right? We look to give you training, coaching, understanding, trying to help you any way we can. We've been there, right? Again, that's one of the things about Sedgwick is we're very much an organic growth kind of place. We've been there. We've been exactly where you are. And so we want to help you. Like we love people. That's what we do. We care all the time. We have a really great program here called Sedgwick University, and it's a catalog of stuff to learn from. It's incredible. One of those things that's just one of those perks that you don't even think about when you join a company that's there. And we always celebrate rewards. Rising Star Joe, same thing. We're trying to give people the encouragement that you're doing a great job. Here's why. Here's your whatever, right? And of course, we're all about well-being. So I just want to quickly tell you about the GAP program and how we at Sedgwick try to get people in the industry, jump in, and we've had people transition all the time. We've had people come out of IT into the operation field. So I think, Joe, you're going to start off with now talking about here is what Sedgwick offers, as in the jobs, the careers, what we do. So Joe, you start off.
Yeah, so I think here we just kind of, this slide just talks about the different segments, but within each of this segment, there's a whole load of further sub options in terms of careers and what you can do. I think, one thing, we have had people who have joined us with nothing, no qualification related to insurance. They've just come in and they've been interested in joining straight after graduating. We have given them the opportunity to join us because some of these options that we have, for example, claims examiner to claims team lead, let's say, just picking on those two, what that means is from anything, it can be a career from anywhere from taking claims on, processing, setting up a system. So when you take claims on, you might have a call center. There'll be people who would be looking for sort of just going on the call center, taking calls in, managing. There's a group of people doing that. Then there's a process in how to handle and manage and allocate the claims. So there's another division that does that. Then it goes into the claims team. So depending on the type of claim, it can go into different teams. So if it's a property claim, it would go to the property team. And people who work there would be from background of having anything to do with structural engineering background or property surveying background or repair solutions background. So again, that means, you don't have, it's not attached to just some specific degree as such, but anything, if you had any subjects or any sort of university program that you did associated to that, you can just sort of go into that. But even if you didn't have that and you want to get into insurance, we take people on and we run graduate schemes. So what that means is if you want to qualify to become a loss adjuster, so one of the areas here, people who have joined us had no experience, they're graduates out probably doing, history degree, maybe someone was doing math degree, somebody else doing economics, had nothing to do with claims or loss adjusting, but they're interested in pursuing a career. We have taken them to run a graduate program. We will then train them and give them the support, and Sedgwick will pay and support for them to qualify as a loss adjuster. So again, we have a lot of graduate schemes. So we would have loss adjusting scheme. I sit in the accounting division, so forensic accounting. We run a graduate program for the accountants. So those who have probably done maths, economics, accounting degrees, they would want to come in and qualify to become a chartered accountant. So if they want to do that, then they come in and we would support them and they'll get on an apprenticeship program with us. They will qualify, we will support them, and then they get to work with us. So we do have a number of sort of areas that you could look in. And this grid here is just showing 9 different areas, but within each area, you would have a lot of different subdivisions. We have a cyber division under the claims, claims world. There's a cyber claims division, product recall division, aviation division, marine division. So I think it's just probably unknown. Very often when you say insurance, people are, oh, what do we need to do to get into insurance? What sort of degree should we be thinking? And what we are saying is there's a place for everybody. So there is a place for any degree. You can sort of transition into any one of these sort of roles if you need to. We have, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, forensic fraud investigators. We have structural engineers. We have a legal division. So for the law side of it, who look at legal side of claims. So that's just in terms of client service, as well as then we have the whole in-house sort of the IT department and other bits of sort of Sedgwick to run the day-to-day business. So, I'll let Shannon cover some of the other areas that I haven't, but any questions after this, you can ask Shannon and we'll cover it.
Yeah, so like a few other ones represented here, IT, right? To my heart. So Sedgwick builds everything in-house, proprietary. This is how we change, adapt to any client type we get, right? Clients come to us all the time, especially in the disability world, which I'll talk about that in just a second. Disability is an offering from companies. They offer, hey, you get 12 weeks of baby leave. Hey, your short-term disability, we'll pay you, if you get hurt at work, we're going to pay you, 80% of your pay for 6 months while you're recovering. So that's disability, right? So like IT helps support all of those type of business functions, from your computer that we work on to the software it runs, and the network it runs on. So if you got any sort of IT like want or know-how, there's every step of the professional IT journey is here. And then disability rep is similar to claim rep examiner. This is someone that is working with someone that is on some sort of disability claim, right? You're helping them make sure they got all their, documents in place, make sure they have all the doctor stuff, make sure, for a baby leave, make sure you tell me, you got to call me the day that you think you're going into labor, things like that, right? So like, those are the people that are, and again, caring's gonna come out of my mouth again. The claims examiner, the disability reps, the care team people, those are the people that are like trying to help the people that have been impacted. Having a baby's great. That, that's the great part of this. But people like, unfortunately die, at jobs. And so we're here to help whatever happens to kind of bring it back. Right. And that's what this industry is about. Trying to reduce the risk, help people get out of bad situations, right? Or they could be good, but again, get them back to it. Nurse is probably the only one that you probably can't apply for unless you have a nursing degree. I would just put that out there. But we do have a lot of nurses that do a lot of case management, right? That we have some that actually go with the claimants, right? The people that's filed the claim to their appointments and so forth, and making sure they, got all they need. Care team is one, and I'll mention this and this will be it. One of the cool things about that group is it is nurses and other type of people. So they're there to help make sure the doctor's orders are followed, make sure what the doctor prescribed is what they said. And one of the cool things that we did as a company is the opioid abuse across the globe. We have a huge team responsible for making sure opioid is the thing they need. Otherwise, there's going to be a different type of medicine prescribed, right? We're trying to reduce that problem that's out there in the country. So I think I touched on everything for the most part. Only got a little bit of time. So that is what we had. I'm gonna stop sharing. If anybody has any questions, please ask them. Adjourn. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Any questions before we wrap up this session? We do have a couple minutes. Joe, I know you're dialing in all the way from UK, which is just absolutely amazing. And again, thank you for being here this evening, right? Evening your time. In terms of like international like work, or things like transferring, if anyone here may be interested in, let's say, applying to Sedgwick, UK or other parts of the world, any advice on that, on international work with the company?
I think it's very often you find people starting with their local regions first and getting sort of used to the ways of operating and what Sedgwick is all about before they start transitioning into sort of different countries or roles, or even moving to different countries. I mean, we certainly sort of give those opportunities, but I'd say if you were applying to just work in a different country is a little bit more harder than if you were already working in your local region and then saying within a year you're quite interested in applying to different sort of regions. Because there's a lot of sponsorship involved and so on. I mean, we do that. I mean, we have paid for people to get their visas transferred. People have come to work from Australia and other parts of the world where we have to do, but again, because of the process involved and the cost involved, we usually tend to do that for those who have already sort of started with Sedgwick locally and then looking to move and have that opportunity. Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, we are at time, so I just wanted to thank you guys again for being here today, Joe and Shannon. This was absolutely amazing. So thank you for hanging out with us for an hour. For all the students that are here with us today, as I mentioned earlier, we do host these sessions on a monthly basis. So our next session is going to be Thursday, April 11th from 1 to 2 Eastern. Our presenting company is going to be Marcal, and the session topic is going to be Gen Z in the workplace. So it should be a great discussion. So again, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Shannon. We truly appreciate your time, and I will catch everyone else next month. Enjoy the rest of your day.
No
Thanks.
worries. Just I'm quite active on LinkedIn, so I can already see a few have reached out to connect. So if you do have any questions, you want to ask some advice, you feel free to connect, and I will do my best to respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.